Hi, my name is Amy Carroll. As a communication coach and trainer, one of the challenges my clients face is how to handle a situation when they're the bystander or witness to someone else getting bullied or mistreated. If we haven't trained how to respond in a situation like this, most of us are either going to have a fight or flight reaction. I call the fight reaction the protective predator. This is when we want to aggressively defend the victim or the target of the aggression. The other extreme, the flight reaction, might happen because we're thinking, oh, I'd better get the heck out of here, otherwise I'm going to be the next target of this aggressor. Now, sometimes these are exactly the right responses to have in that moment. Now, today, I'm going to share with you a way that I handled a bullying situation when I was a witness to it. And I'm going to show you how you can become an active bystander and potentially neutralize a bully. So this is something that happened maybe 10 or 12 years ago. I was on a train heading from my home in Vevey, Switzerland to the Geneva airport. It was middle of the day, middle of the week, so the train car was full of teenagers. Across the aisle from me were 3 teenagers. One big muscular 17-year-old, a little skinny 14-year-old, and a 16-year-old sitting across from them. Now, the 17-year-old had his arm wrapped tightly around the neck of the 14-year-old, and you could tell the 14-year-old was not enjoying himself. To make it worse, the 16-year-old sitting across from them was laughing at the whole situation. I couldn't decide who I was going to slap first, the 16-year-old or the 17-year-old, because someone was going to get slapped. And then just before I went protective predator, I stopped myself. I thought, Amy, you can't go predator because the number 1 rule does not apply. What's the number 1 rule, you ask? Yeah, Well, the number 1 rule, the only justification I have for going predator in my life is if my life or someone else's life is at risk. And this was clearly not the case. The 14-year-old was in pain, yes. His life was not in imminent danger. The 2 other reasons I didn't want to go predator was I didn't want to reinforce the pathways of the predator reaction in myself. Instead, I wanted to force myself to stay partner under pressure. Now, the 3rd reason I didn't want to go predator was because I knew I couldn't guarantee what the 17-year-old might do as a result. Maybe he'd go predator on me, which I felt confident I would have been able to handle. Though maybe he would have gone predator again on the 14-year-old later that day, or maybe on his younger sibling or the family pet. I didn't want to reinforce that circle of violence. So for all these reasons, I forced myself to stay partner with a 17-year-old in French. The first thing I did was take a deep breath. Very calmly, very slowly, I said to him, "Excuse me, sir, would you mind not doing that? It's really upsetting for me." Now, he immediately took his arm off the neck of the 14-year-old, except he was still sort of agitated. And he said to me, "Well, they did that to me." And I thought, Amy, give him some emergency empathy. I didn't know what else to do. So I just said, "And I wouldn't want them to do that to you either." Well, that seemed to be good enough for him. And the conflict was over. The thing that amazed me the most, though, was why it worked. So when I got to the airport, I started to analyze it. And I came up with 4 reasons why I believe it worked. First of all, I called a 17-year-old sir. I'm guessing it didn't happen too often that an adult would show him that kind of respect. The second reason I believe it worked was because I asked him to stop. I didn't insist or tell him to stop. Often when adults are talking to children, we're in tell mode. So I believe he felt empowered and it gave him a sense of choice. The third reason I believe it worked was because I wasn't lecturing him about right, wrong, good, bad. I simply explained it was upsetting for me. The 4th reason why I think it worked was that I spoke to him slowly and calmly. And what I was doing was controlling the energy of my message and how it impacted him. Because frankly, it's hard to fight in slow motion. I was really proud of all these actions, except the big meta question for me was, how was I able to do that in the first place when all I really wanted to do was go predator on this kid? I believe it's because almost every chance I get, I'm going to the partner gym. I'm working out even when I don't want to. And it's thanks to all those mini workouts that I've got these strong muscles, which enable me to step in partner and stay in partner when the pressure is on. My invitation to you is to practice stepping into partner every opportunity you get so that you can build your muscles and change your world. Those are my tips for today. If you enjoyed this video and want additional ideas on how to become a more powerful communicator, feel free to connect with me on my social media channels, Amy Carroll Coaching, or check out my book, The Ego Tango. Thanks for tuning in and happy partnering.